Okay, so what you need for the ends are a 10.5 inch strip and a 12.5 inch strip. That makes up for the other square. First time I did this, I read the directions wrong and I cut them all 10.5 inches. And I realized my error and had to cut new strips to go on the end. So a 10.5, so you're cutting two 10.5 inch pieces, one for each end, and two 12.5 inch pieces. So I'm going to sew on my other ends. Then we're going to be on to trimming off all these little edges. This to me is the very tricky part, is trying to draw a line and make sure it's straight. So what I did, and I lined up like the 2 points here on these boards, which hopefully are even right there. And I took my ruler and I just made a mark on the middle one. It's supposed to be a 1/4 inch above the point. So actually when you're sewing the border on, it's supposed to be right at the point of that middle block. So I made a mark there. Then I used a yardstick because I don't have anything else long enough. And found the mark and just tried to make sure it was like lined up with the lines and draw the line across. To me it's really hard, so I might make sure I cut that strip and I sew that one on before I do the other side. Basically you're supposed to do the line, then sew your long strip on here, and then cut off the edges, which makes sense. So I'm going to make sure I've got a piece long enough to fit there and sew that first one on before I tackle the second side. So I cut a strip 30 inches long, which is going to be fine, and I've pinned it along the line, and we'll see how that works out. Okay, it's sewn on, and I just trimmed off the points, and when I iron it, it's perfect. I will be trimming off this corner right here to do the diagonal, So to trim off that end, you're just lining your ruler up with this piece here and then just cutting that off for your diagonal corner. So we'll do that there. And then we'll do the other end. So there you go. One side is done. And it actually came out right at the point. So if I can do the other side, it might be my best one yet. So one more side to go. I'll be doing the same thing. I'll let you know when the top is. So there we go. The top is done. This one does take a little bit longer than the charm square one, but that's okay. It's a different pattern. I will come back tomorrow and find a piece of batting and the backing and put this baby together. I think I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, it does have the gold in there. It kind of goes with that, and I think it sets off the different stripes. So, there we go. We'll finish it tomorrow. Okay, we're back at it. Yesterday, before I quit, I did find a perfect piece of batting that just fit width-wise for this table runner. I did cut it off. It was longer than I needed it to be. So I washed out this piece of fabric. It needed a little washing, so I got that washed and dried this morning. and it is just long enough. Look at that, finally a piece that fits perfectly. So I will flip over this top, get it pinned, and get it sewn together. I'll probably leave an opening somewhere in the middle, and this should be done fairly quickly. I think what I've done, actually I've sewn along the edge on this table runner. I'm going to sew along the edge for the quilting. Then I'll probably quilt the inside of this border here, and then maybe around the inside square. I don't think I've done a lot of quilting on these. It doesn't need a whole lot. So we will get going on sewing this together. Alright, it is sewn together. The only issue with doing this dark backing on this against this yellow border is you do see it through here. You know what, I haven't sewn it yet. Maybe I will try to trim off some of that. I had left this longer so you see it there. I'm going to try trimming some of that off before I sew it up. Well, there we go. That worked. Now I don't see any of the dark color along the edges. Maybe a little bit right there. Not really. Have to look close. So that's better. So I guess if you're doing a dark backing against a light border, do an extra trim along that backing seam so it doesn't show through. So there we go. I'm going to hand stitch this. Then I'm going to do 1/4 inch stitching around the outer edge, around the inner edge, and around the square. Now because I want a light color on the top, I've been using a, I want to say a beige, a natural, I guess a natural color thread to make this. Oh, my bobbin's almost out. Guess I got to change that. It is going to show up on the back, so hopefully I can do a fairly straight line so it doesn't look obnoxious. So we'll see how that goes. So I'll show you when it's done. Just going to show you a couple things as I'm doing this outside border. First thing is the stitch length. My normal stitch length on this machine, can't really see it, is 2.5. When I'm doing my regular sewing, that's the stitch length I use, and I think I've mentioned I've gone up to 5 when I'm doing the quilting. So I decided on the edge to do the 4, and I like it. I like the look of it. The other thing I'm doing with this presser foot, I typically put the outside edge of this for a 1/4 inch seam, but for this edging, I'm putting the edge of the fabric on the inside of that silver piece, and it's giving me a nice close edge right here. So just thought I would share that. I'm going to use the 5 length to do the inside of this and to do around my inside square. Well, there, it's done. And I like it. I think with the, as with the charm square table runners, I like the shorter version better. The long ones are pretty long. Let me show you. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. That's the Christmas one that I made while I was in Georgia, and that's one that has 5 stripes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's it seems quite a bit bigger. Just by 1 stripe, but I still think I like the small ones, the shorter ones, better. I don't know. We'll see what the general public likes, whether they like them at all. I hope so. You know, you can see through this edge here. Well, it's the 2.5 inches. It's probably only 5 inches longer because you've got 2.5 inch stripe here and a 2.5 inch stripe here. Everything else is the same. So you're talking 5 inches longer. So anyway, there they are. So let me show you the back of this one. I'm pretty proud of how the back looks. I think I did pretty good with straight stitching and not going all over the place. I did decide to do 4.5 on the inside instead of the 5. I do like that. Now I've got along the outer edge and the inner edge and along the block in the middle. So I'm pretty happy with how that came out. So now it really is no more sewing. You've got to focus on just packing up, getting things together to leave for Georgia. I'm going to miss my sewing room, and I'll be happy to get to my sewing room down there so I can get back at it. So there we go.